You're launching YouTube. Your homepage is flooded with videos that feel inauthentic. You're watching a creator and can't help feeling disconnected, thinking back to the good old days when people just made things for the sake of making them. But is YouTube really changing? Or has it always been like this? I uploaded this video that emphasizes the change YouTube is going through, as content that feels inauthentic or forced has been dominating the platform as the result of MrBeastification, but is making place for authentic content as seen with creators like Sam Sulek. Most who watch this video could relate with the narrative of YouTube changing, but what would be more interesting is to take a look at the other perspective and understand why YouTube actually hasn't changed. There's 5 main perspectives and they really make you think. Let's start with YouTube was always like this and has always had forced content. YouTube started out as a platform quite different than it is today. There was no algorithm, it was based on star ratings, and creators were mainly focused on having fun. However, as soon as money could be made with YouTube, it is argued that marked the starting point of content that gave off an inauthentic or forced feeling. Content that was focused on optimization and revenue instead of leisurely creation. However, this argument does not take into account the change of scale. YouTube might have always had content present on the platform that could be categorized like that, but the scale has massively increased. So yes, forced content is nothing new, but it certainly has not always been like this, or at least to this degree. Another perspective is by Goblin King TV. Another perspective is by Goblin King TV. The Goblin argues that meta content follows the path similar to a pendulum, in the sense that it will swing from authenticity, like the good times you remember, to a more optimized style of content, like MrBeast, and that it will eventually swing back. This cycle would repeat every couple of years, and the new style will dominate the ecosystem for a period until a fresh pioneer shows new paths of success, like MrBeast did a few years ago and Sam Sulek is doing now. This perspective explains the platform shift over time pretty well and can be applied to almost any form of media. For example, animation films. The format of making the animation of films as realistic as possible was one that delivered the biggest success for a long time. So as animation studios started to milk this style, these movies started to feel stale, until a pioneer showed up and turned the narrative around. Spider-Verse did exactly that, showing the viewers and the studios that the possibilities and creativity that can come with animation are endless, as well as proving to these studios that this new format is also successful, even more successful, resulting in once again the pendulum swinging in the other direction, which can be seen with movies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Puss in Boots 2 that heavily draw inspiration on Spider-Verse and wouldn't have turned out the same way without it. Moving on, another point of view I saw was YouTube is not changing, you're just growing up. And this statement makes some sense, as many people can relate with watching a lot of content back in the day that felt authentic, but now that you're older, that same content feels completely forced. Much like I could imagine that MrBeast would feel completely different for kids that are growing up now. And yes, the reality is that you are growing up, but so are the creators, the platform, and the demand. It's true, you are not the kid anymore that used to enjoy these videos. However, just like you changed, the internet and the people on it also changed, and people don't think diarrhea-inducing videos like these are funny anymore. All this talk about authenticity makes you think about what it actually means, bringing me to the next perspective. There is no real authenticity. Now, without getting too philosophical, I do agree with this. Everyone decides which mask they put on, and no one except you knows the real you. Lots of people, when they think of YouTube authenticity, they think back of the old days. For example, with PewDiePie playing Amnesia. But even this can easily be considered inauthentic, as he's mainly putting up an exaggerated persona. However, this comment by Slurp4931 also raises a fair point. My guy Slurp argues that exaggeration requires one to be intrinsically authentic, as they have to know what to exaggerate. However, in a YouTube context, authenticity for me refers more to the feeling a video or creator gives you. Humans are great at pattern recognition, and for most it feels pretty apparent when a video just isn't made out of passion or really feels optimized for revenue. Moving on, have you ever watched TV and were like, damn, Another 24-hour Modern Family marathon? This critique is exactly how some people feel when they see others criticize YouTube. They argue that it is illogical to look at YouTube as an individual show or channel like Nickelodeon, as you don't have to look at what's popular and you can decide which channel you watch. However, when I look at the change of YouTube, what I am mostly considering is the changing demand of content and the meta. The meta in this sense can be expressed as the certain format and style that seems to work best in this frame of time. And even though it's clear that you could just decide to watch different content that's less popular, it is also important to know that whatever the current demand and meta is exactly the kind of content that will be focused on more by creators and viewers, therefore significantly increasing the quantity and quality of this type of content. It is important to talk about these metas like MrBeastification and authenticity to better understand the direction the platform is going in. It simply cannot be denied that the popularity of specific formats certainly change the path YouTube takes. The most successful methods will always be prioritized until a pioneer such as MrBeast or Sam Sulek comes along and shows different ways of success. Even though YouTube has seen a lot of change, some demands for content seem to stay the same, or simply get reawakened after a while. The comparison I made in my last video between iShowSpeed and old school FIFA ragers like Rotoshaw is a great example, showing that extreme reactions and having the viewer wonder how will this extreme personality react to this specific scenario will always have demands for it. Commentary content is another example, but even though the demand might stay over the years, the content will slowly adapt more and more, varying into different subgroups and creating new metas. So after all that yapping and blabbering about these perspectives on YouTube, what can be concluded? YouTube is certainly changing, but some aspects certainly don't change. Specific demands have remained, but adapted, and the content cycle will keep swinging in new directions. Just know that the feeling of disconnectedness when you're watching a creator and you're just getting tired of it is one that you're certainly not feeling alone, and the pendulum will swing differently eventually. The only constant is change. But what is actually in your control? The only action you can actively take is to watch what you really enjoy. Each view you give is like a vote saying, I want to see more like this. So use your votes wisely and watch what makes you happy.